So today's topic is something that I've kind of been working with without consciously working with it. So not yesterday. So you guys know, let's just start with a little bit of introduction. I am the Dragon Doula, and a lot of people think that I am a doula for home births, which I am. I am certified as a doula, but when I say Dragon Doula, I mean birthing your highest potential here in third dimension. So really becoming super conscious, really creating that unified will, really bringing all of your unconscious desires and your conscious desires together to create friggin' magic. And I do this mostly with people who want to be leaders. So if you want to be the #1 rank on your network marketing, if you want to be the PTA board president or the school board president, if you want to be on the city council, if you want to be mayor, if you want to run for the US Senate or Parliament or wherever you are in the world, if you can see yourself as a leader, as the person that people look to when everything is going sideways, then I am here for you. I've been here for 80,000 lifetimes. I have been here through all of the golden ages that we've already lived through. And this specific meditation is going to be activating the singing crystals, which is ancient spiritual technology from Atlantis and Lemuria. So let's do a little bit of history, shall we? Lemuria and Atlantis are two ancient civilizations, and we tend to talk a lot about Atlantis because it was like the epicenter. Hold on, my cat is literally demanding to be let in, so hold on one second. Freaking cats anyway. Make sure you comment, make sure you share this out. This is gonna be freaking hi Chase, hi everyone. This is gonna be so powerful and so potent, especially if you have any ties to Lemuria, any ties to Atlantis. So let's tell a little story, shall we? And a lot of my knowings from Atlantis actually come from the work of Edward Casey. So if you want to learn more and go more in depth, or you've already studied Edward Casey and this sounds familiar, that's why. Hold on, I just need to make my coffee real quick before I keep going. So we talk about Atlantis. If you have kids or if you were raised in the 90s, you probably watched the show Atlantis, like Return to Atlantis with Milo, the crazy bomber, explosion expert. And Atlantis is one of those fairy tales, those myths. Can you guys hear me better too? I want to know. I switched to Zoom, so hopefully the quality is better, so please let me know. So Atlantis was this thriving city, island, actually in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And Lemuria was an equal and opposite grand temple over near Hawaii. So the easiest way for me to kind of separate Lemuria and Atlantis is two things. Well, three things. One, we have to recognize that the ancient people had more access to their brain. So they had telepathy. They had telekinesis, meaning they can move object with their mind. They could bilocate. So for us, the idea of, oh my gosh, Lemuria was in the Pacific Ocean and Atlantis was in the Atlantic Ocean is like, how could they ever connect? But if you think about Star Trek and how they had the teleporters, that's kind of what was going on in ancient Lemuria and ancient Atlantis. So they were able to think of Atlantis as like the New York City, and then Lemuria as the Hawaii, honestly. Like the vibe at Hawaii, there's a reason why people go to Hawaii and why they are so calm and why they just feel the presence of this divine feminine. And Hi, Joy. Hi, Patrice. Hello, everyone. You do love you some Edward Casey. I'm sure you do, Patrice. I'm so not surprised by that. So Atlantis, a quick recap of what happened in Atlantis was that Atlantis being this thriving metropolis where all of the government was, we still, to this date, even as someone who has lived here for 80,000 lifetimes, we have never had a successful, thriving civilization that didn't have some sort of high council, let's call it that, right? It doesn't have to be president or king, but just like the council of elders, if you think of it in Native American tradition. So you have this council, and unfortunately, or fortunately, because the whole Earth experiment has always been this question of free will, of sovereign will, and being able to bring yourself back into alignment with divine will. So when I say a unified will, I'm also talking about unified with the divine. So therefore, you're no longer just thinking from a human standpoint, but you're actually channeling in information from your soul, from your higher self to come down into your body. So you are essentially just like angels, eventually making the conscious choice to merge your will with the divine. And that is when magic is really happening. And that's what the singing crystal technology is. So in Atlantis and Lemuria, dragons were like, every time I have visited there in meditation, I see them like Hedwig or like these little like pets. Okay, so it shrunken down in size, and they were like our companions. So every person had a dragon that was like external to them. Or if you've ever played Zelda, how all the little Karoks have a fairy. It's kind of like that. So you had this like external, very ancient, magical being that was your companion. And we have to remember that Lemuria and Atlantis was, at very least 250,000 years ago. And at that time, Mars was still had people, still had Martians. And what happened with the fall of Atlantis was that Martians started coming. They had a war-torn planet. They were very similar to Earth in the fact that they were being given this free choice, given this free sovereignty. And yes, we should. Yeah, we need to have a retreat in Hawaii for sure. Let's do that for sure. And so the Martians had like destroyed their planet at this point with war, and some of them had figured out how to come to Earth. How, again, we were much more involved intergalactically. We knew that Mars was there. We were communicating with them. We were much more in contact with the Pleiadians, and just all of our intergalactic family was in more contact with us during the age of Atlantis. We had telepathy, we had telekinesis, we had all bilocation, psychic abilities, healing that we can't even imagine right now, genetic experimentation, and all this stuff. So the Martians come to Earth, and essentially you're trying to steal the technology of the singing crystals. And the singing crystals is our ability to manifest on demand, because the Martians they'd been given access to be able to move between worlds. But besides that, we were pretty like on your own planet, doing your own experiment. So Atlantis, as they realized that they were being infiltrated by Martians, because this was totally a covert operation, they knew that the Earth experiment was going to need to be reset. There was the technology was not supposed to go off planet, especially not to go aid in more military destructions. So Atlanteans and Lemurians got together, and they're like, okay, we gotta press the reset button. And because we have one city of pretty much all divine masculine energy, so a lot of people think of Atlantis as like this island of just men, and then Lemuria is this island of just women. I've never experienced that way. Yeah, there was much more of a high feminine vibe in Lemuria and a much more high masculine vibe in Atlantis, but there was intermingling of all the genders. Gender didn't really exist. It was a very androgynous society once you've like ascended past the thought of polarity in such a way. Like, androgyny is really all that there is. So the council got together and they're like, okay, we have to press the reset button, but we don't want to lose all of how far we've come. So let us take 77 of the highest men, or the most talented, all of the highest attributes, and 77 of the highest attributes of women, and take them and encode them through genetic coding and genetic mutation into 2 beings that will stay here on Earth. And we will allow the other civilizations to crash and fall into the ocean, to be forgotten. And essentially everyone else except for these 2 beings, they instantly ascended. So if you've watched Star Wars, where it wasn't the last one, but one of the Star Wars where Luke is actually like projecting himself all the way across the galaxy, and when he's done, he like just like becomes the Source. Sorry, spoiler alert. It's a fucking old movie at this point, like 4 years old, so I hope you've seen it. Yes, Mars again, freaking Mars. So so the two people that we had encoded this into, we know them as Iris and Osiris. Okay, so they cross the Rainbow Bridge out of Atlantis into what we now know as Africa. And when they go to Africa, they encounter nomads, essentially, and they're able to work together and create all of the stuff from ancient Egypt. Like, literally, that's how you go from Atlantis to ancient Egypt, is by accepting this piece of history that Iris and Osiris were actually ancient Atlanteans. And so much of what we see in the ancient temples in Egypt, in the hieroglyphs, in the lightness of heart, all of these things are ancient Atlantean and Lemurian beliefs. Like they're solid beliefs of their countries, lands. Okay. Now that you've gotten a little history lesson, what is a singing crystal? What is this crazy technology I keep talking about? Well, have you guys ever heard of a philosopher's stone? Give me some likes or some hearts if you've ever heard of a philosopher's stone. I'll take a sip of my freaking coffee. I'm also going to warn y'all that my kid might wake up, so I'll have to probably like go hand him a banana or something, so just FYI. Alright, so Philosopher's Stone is the ancient alchemic. If you have ever read anything about Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes is in the god of Hermes, also known as Thoth or Tehote. He's pictured in ancient Egypt as a man with a bird face, essentially, but then man's hands. So Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes the god, a Greek god, Mercury the Roman god, Tehote the Egyptian god, all of them are, when you look at what kind of god they are, they're all the same kind of god. They're the god of writing, of magic, of commerce, of money, and they are all trickster gods, okay? They are tricky. They like riddles, okay? You can even think about the Sphinx's riddle, right? What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the noon, and 3 legs in the evening, right? It's the human body. He recently came to you? Yes. Thoth is badass, and the more that I know about him and Hermes and Mercury, that they're all like one and the same, I just freaking love him, especially for writing. Those of us who are like channeling, we're trying to take those stories and like make them into hard copy books. He's awesome. So, knowing that he's a trickster god, you think about this term philosopher's stone. And I don't know how many of you guys have ever seen the anime, but the anime show Full Metal Alchemist is all about these boys who were trying to bring back their mom. They end up losing their arm and like a whole body. And the whole time, the whole premise of the whole show is that they're trying to find this Philosopher's Stone. And the Philosopher's Stone is this ancient technology that could turn water into wine, lead into gold, poison into medicine, whatever it was. This, when we think about all of the different things that Jesus did, you can think like, oh, did he have a Philosopher's Stone in his pocket? So there's this belief that when Lemuria and Atlantis fell, I don't really call it a fall, like they self-destructed on purpose to save the whole Earth experiment, because Mars was just like, their priests knew that if Martians got a hold of this technology that they were just going to do exactly what they had done to Mars to Earth. So that's why it was like the self-destruct button, okay? Yeah, just message me, like seriously, send me a message with your email address if you want to move over, because that's going to be, by April 1st, we're going to be moved over to a different platform so that this stuff doesn't happen anymore. Anyway, so a lot of people have gotten that download that there's crystals, right? There's even a specific crystal called a Lemurian crystal that has, like, they're really special. They're etched on that side. They almost feel like barcodes. I have one that when I first touched it, it was like a fingerprint scanner is how I felt, and all this stuff just started like downloading into my body. And that was probably like 2 years ago at this point, and where I was 2 years ago to where I am now is just crazy. And I have 3 pieces of Lemurian crystal in my house, and when I really want to go like next level into that, those I just sit there and hold them, and I'm like, whoa. So we already know that crystals have this technology. We know that crystals vibrate. We know that all these crystals do that, but we've never found a Philosopher's Stone. In all the geology and all the everything, no one in modern day science has ever found a crystal that if you pour water onto it will drip out wine, or if you put it into a pot with a bunch of lead will somehow mix it into gold. No one in modern science has ever figured this out, right? So, dragons. What does this all have to do with each other, Karen? Well, dragons are the same energy as just a life force. So if you can take the big mystical being out of it and just bring it down to what is the frequency of a dragon, the frequency of a serpent, the frequency of your kundalini energy, of our carbon-based DNA strands, all of that is still dragon energy. All of that is the breath of life energy, the prana. Dragons are the bridge between thought form and physical form. So as Source thinks, of course, Source doesn't really think, right? But if we have to conceptualize it for our human brain. If Source thinks, then dragons birth the thought. Source has a thought. A dragon's like, hey, that thought's really cool, because dragons have completely merged their wills with Source's will. So Source is like, this is awesome. I'm going to create this. And another dragon somewhere is like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to build that for you. And has enough value for it that it drops from the crown into the heart. The declaration of, I will do this, puts it in the heart. And dragons have this special organ called a heart womb, where what they value is held in their womb until they're ready to birth it, and until they're ready to birth it. So everything in creation came from dragons. Everything, everywhere, always, ever came from a dragon. Every star, every planet, every being, every dust particle. You can call the Big Bang like a grand birthing of this universe through the heart womb of a dragon. There have been other universes that were also created from heart wombs. So because we're in the multiverse, right? So when I talk about dragon energy, I'm talking about very primordial energy, the ascending energy and the descending energy, the up and the down, the to and the fro, the connectedness of the figure 8. I was born on August 17th, 1988. I am 88, all the way through my body. So, the Philosopher's Stone is us. Okay, and I've kind of been hinting at this. I didn't really get it until yesterday when I was on a live stream with Joy, actually, and she connected me to another inner earth being. A couple of weeks ago, my friend Ari Kala had connected me to a different inner earth being, and essentially, the two of them, once I met them together, they reminded me of this whole thing that we had in Atlantis where dragons were like our pets. So it was like the fox-like creature and the very tall, she's very skeleton-like, really big purple eyes. She like sent her pet because I connected to her, but kind of like pushed her off. And so then when she sent her pet, not really pet, they're still equal, to contact me through Joy, and I'm channeled them both together. Literally, I've got 2 pages, not a lot, 2 pages of notes here on what the singing crystal is. And as I reread it, I was like, fuck, I've already been talking about this. I've already gotten the download that we are Philosopher's Stones. We are the Merkaba. We are the Star of David. So if you go like this, and then you go like this, right? The chalice being the universal sign for feminine, the spear being the universal sign for masculine. You put them together and they form a Star of David, or a Merkaba, or Metatron's cube. Okay. Metatron's cube is the Philosopher's Stone. But we are the Merkaba. We are Metatron's cube. When you have a unified will, when your unconscious desires are loved and accepted and filled with joy, you are, yes, Joy is your master spirit's guide's name. That's awesome. Joy Rochelle here is one of my favorite channelers. She speaks to inner earth beings way clearer than I was raised by someone who self-describes himself as a Vulcan. So I have to take a lot of very logical, science-based steps into my mysticism. I jumped out of an airplane last year because I have trust issues, okay? Not because I was scared of heights, but because I needed to learn how to trust and surrender. So, I figured I'd jump out of an airplane. So, the singing crystal is ancient technology that is within everyone, but after connecting to these guides, I was led to know that if you are an indigo child or a crystalline child, you're like pretty much already there. Okay, and I know that there were some indigo children born in the 60s, very weird. But for the most part, it's millennials. Sorry, y'all. Hate to burst your bubble. But I don't think I'm bursting any bubble, right? If you're not a millennial, you're very aware the millennials are kind of just like with it in a different way. Like, we don't care about gay people. We don't care about cannabis. We don't think that people should be in jail for nonviolent drug crimes. Very like millennials in and of themselves, if you don't tell them they're taking a political quiz and you give them a political quiz, almost all millennials will register actually as libertarians. They don't have this like desire to have the government save them, because we lived through the financial crisis of 2008 and now this one. And as far as we're concerned, the government doesn't give a fuck about us because they keep bailing out Wall Street instead of bailing us out. It's why millennials are like 1 out of 3 millennials is an entrepreneur. Way higher statistic than any other age group, because we just don't like to be told to sit down and shut up and this is what you're supposed to do, because we have witnessed it our whole lives. We grew up on the Lorax, okay? Until someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's gonna change. It's just not. And that's like how we were raised, was to believe that. And we were raised on the war on terror, but then not really understanding why we're supposed to be afraid of someone just because of the color of their skin. And then, of course, there's the veil of forgetfulness. So this whole idea of the veil of forgetting that you're a god, the closer you got to 2012, the thinner that veil is. And anybody born after 2012 actually didn't pass through the veil, which is why we have such an increase in autistic and ADHD type behavioral issues, right? We have all these mini gods walking around remembering that they're gods, but being raised by people that don't remember that we're gods, who are trying to force them into an old paradigm. And a lot of the stuff I try to tell my son, who's 11, so he didn't pass through the veil, but it was like 2008. He just looks at me and kind of gives me this like, duh, mom, like, of course dragons are real. Yeah, of course I can just start like, yeah, if I ask for something, it's just gonna happen. Like, what's wrong with you that you don't think that that's how it works, right? So that innocence, right? That innocence that was stolen from us when we found out that the Tooth Fairy or the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus or whatever wasn't real. These kids are just like born with it. Like this winter, my son literally looked at me, my 11-year-old looked at me and said, Mom, if my friends can believe in God, why can't I believe in Santa Claus? I don't get it. And I was just like putting ornaments on the tree, and I just looked at him and I was like, you're not wrong. You're really not. They can believe in some old white guy in the sky with a beard putting down plagues and all this stuff. Like, God is pretty fucked up if you think about it that way. Like, he's just up there watching all this shit go down and just doesn't care. No, that's what I say about the unified will. We incarnated in polarity, in duality. So if you're sitting there trying to say, I fucking hate that my husband ignores me and chooses to play, I don't know, Call of Duty all night long instead of having sex with me, you have to recognize that you are only ever experiencing the world through your own perception. You can't change anyone except for through your own perception. And this is where the Philosopher's Stone is. You can choose, you can change that lead into gold. Now, maybe you get a new husband. I'm not saying that you're going to keep the same guy around. It's that you have to recognize and own that for every single solitary desire of your ego, there is an equal and opposite desire of your shadow, of your unconscious. So everything you consciously think that you desire, such as fame and money and power and influence and the ability to save the world, you have equal and opposite desires. Newton's law of physics, guys. I told you I love it. I love science, how it helps me. You have a craving for scarcity and lack and torture and powerlessness and bondage and suffering on not just a personal scale, but a global scale, because as each of us desire this quietly in our own back minds, but don't ever like let it out, we're creating global consciousness. We are literally all sitting in our houses right now, stuck, having to, Mother Earth done put us in timeout, y'all. That's why I keep saying hindsight's 2020. In the year 2020 is our ability to sit here and be like, okay, so we played out this Armageddon timeline, and the Armageddon timeline was literally playing out until January of this year with the lunar eclipse. And you can think, well, it's still playing out. No, this is just like the final bits of them trying to like grab on. Armageddon's not going to happen, guys. Like, and the faster you can accept and believe and know in your heart and in your bones that Armageddon isn't going to happen, the faster that everything that I teach is going to like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, she's right. Oh, she's right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, maybe she's wrong there. You know, I love being told that I'm wrong. I absolutely love it, because it's a chance for me to expand my perception or to test like, okay. No, there's still not enough evidence for me to change my thought, but I have the ability to run that through my system, right? I have the inner knowing and my own nervous system and my own resonance, right? So if we are a philosopher's stone, if we are the resonance of a crystal, a singing crystal, what is that? What do you mean, the singing crystal? Frequency you can think of as singing, right? If every crystal out there puts out a frequency, we haven't yet created it, but that means that every crystal, if you put it into a chamber, you would be able to hear the sound that it makes. Okay. We already have a sound. It comes from right here in your throat chakra. And interestingly enough, while I was waiting for the Zoom situation to happen, I pulled a dragon to see which dragon was really coming through right now. And it's this blue dragon from the Pleiades. So this dark blue is the color of the throat chakra, right? And it says right here that it is preparing you for a source healing, accept a heart activation, and give and receive heart healing. But we don't see the heart normally as this blue color, right? We see it as green when we look at our current understanding of the 7 chakras. But what did I say? Dragons have a heart womb, right? As soon as they value something, they say, I will create it, and then it gestates inside of their heart womb. But they have to make that declaration, I will create this, okay? Aries season is the time of I am. So if we can, for the next 20 days, listen to this meditation that I'm about to do, activate within you that singing crystal that I am the philosopher's stone, I am a unified will, I am magic, then you will soon find that I will is very easy. I will do this, and you do it. I will do this, I will do it. You also get very discerning in what you do or do not agree to what you're doing. I say no a whole hell of a lot more now that I recognize the power of my word, right? In the beginning of the word, and the word was God, right? In the beginning there was the word, and the word was God, and they're talking about Jesus. Jesus is our most current, like, historical figure of a living philosopher's stone. Okay, Jesus is also a trickster. Jesus is very much like Mercury, very much like Thoth, very much like gonna rock the boat, gonna do it under healings, and you guys are gonna think it's miracles. But you have to remember, like, the best way to find out what Jesus did is to actually go talk with Jesus. Like, go get into some meditation, channel him through automatic writing, because the Bible is that much of what we really know about Jesus' life. And you got to add in Mary Magdalene and all of the rest of it, right? So, hi, Kauai. Sorry, y'all, you're going to have to watch this in 2 parts. So, the mantra for the singing crystal is, I am the voice of divine will fully manifest as creation. Okay? So I am the voice of divine will, meaning I will do these things that my will is unified in doing. So that means doing the inner work of getting that unconscious desire unified with the conscious one. That doesn't mean bludgeoning your unconscious. You're going to listen. That's not hours and hours of affirmation. That's not most of the law of attraction stuff that just tells you, like, don't think the bad, because if you think bad, more bad will happen. No, it is more on the lines of existential kink. Y'all, I'm in love with this book. It has changed my life in so many ways. If you don't know who Carolyn Elliott is, go find her on Instagram right now. She is amazing. And she's just been the perfect, like, person to listen to. And I'll be like, yeah, I totally knew that already. Oh, that's funny. I thought that I had just made that up, but here I am watching an Instagram of yours, and you're saying the exact same thing that I just channeled, right? Because that's what the universe does. It helps you, like, oh, yep. That's why echo chambers are so dangerous, because everyone, of course, believes what they believe, because they have created the vibration to only receive that same information. It's when you can trust your own self enough to question, like I said, why I love being told that I'm wrong. Now, I might not look like I love being told that I'm wrong. Like, my own coach has been telling me, like, you do not like to be wrong. That's because I'm not really wrong really often, and I had to, like, accept that she is here to help me with writing my book and some of my other things that I do. I just need to, like, I love you, I believe you, I understand you, but I know my process of how I know if something is wrong, because, again, right and wrong are subjective. Everything is subjective. And yeah, you can go get information from other people. Did you see this? Did you see that? But you're still running what they're telling you through your subjective perception of life. Which is, again, why you can sit there and say, you know what? I love being a fucking martyr. I absolutely love not meditating so that I can sit around and be ignored by my husband while he's playing his video games. I find it so hot that I put everything on the back burner for my family. And the more you love and accept and adore and hold into your heart all of Earth, that's where the Martians failed. You want to know when they blew up their planet? It's because they couldn't accept duality. They couldn't accept that they were creating what they were creating for a reason. If you go look at the Syrian Star Nation, their planet Karnak was very much like the planet Earth, where we did generations and generations, and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of suffering, but eventually hit a critical point like we did, like we are currently in, and they were able to move and change into a golden age of miracles that then rectified the karma, that then moved the entire planet up into a higher level of consciousness. So while the planet is still circling the sun, Sirius, we here in 3D can't see it. Okay? So when you, and it doesn't matter, again, I'm saying that this is going to be easier for people to upgrade if you're a millennial. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm not saying that people who were born in the 50s or 60s or 70s are not capable of activating their singing crystal software, essentially, the DNA in their body that activates them to be the Philosopher's Stone. It's just going to be a little bit harder. And I'm being very upfront about that because it is. My clients who are 40 and older have a whole hell of a lot time digesting and implementing what I tell them than my clients that are 25. Okay? I haven't had a client under 25, so I couldn't tell you, but like I talk to some of my clients that are younger than me and they're like, yep, totally, immediately. And then some of my clients that are like 50 where it takes them a week or two. I'm not saying that it's slower because working with me for 6 weeks is the same as working with most other coaches for 6 months, but it is slower because you guys had more years of being in the other mindset. You've had more time on this planet prior to 2012, prior to the veil lifting. That is just and again, this is your choice. You chose as this internal being, you were bored being omniscient. You were like, you know what, being whole and complete and perfect for eons is actually fucking boring. I'm going to go play around on this planet called Earth and see what goes on over there. Oh shit, this sucks. Suffering, pain, anger, rage, sickness. Ugh. And then you die and you're like, that was so fun, let's do it again. You go through another lifetime and then another lifetime, then here you are 80,000 lifetimes later teaching what you've learned from all those lifetimes, no longer having to learn it all in one lifetime, but being able to sit in a meditative state and be like, okay, I'm ready to onboard my psychic gifts. Start doing that. Just pull it from all of the lifetimes that you were a Tibetan monk or an Egyptian god or, you know, a Mayan shaman, whatever. You have that ability now. With the veil being gone, the veil of forgetfulness being gone, the layer in between dimensions is like damn near impossible for you to can walk into another room and you've actually walked into another timeline. And it's your ability to recognize that that's what you're doing, okay? Shit gets real. Hey, yeah. What kids need in school, can you teach them what they need to know? Yeah, so my kids don't go to school, Chase. My kids don't go to a public school because I honestly make a lot of money helping people to unlearn a lot of the stuff that they learned in public school. So I find it very hypocritical if I were to send my children to public school. Things change and shift. My oldest does want to go to middle school next year, but I don't even know if the school system's going to exist. Like, all of our kids are out of school until May 1st because of this whole thing, you know? Like, I'm just sitting there. We're going to put that on the back burner. So this meditation that we're going to do, because it's already almost been an hour, I didn't mean for that to happen. I don't ever mean for it to happen, but it does. This meditation is going to activate within you this clearing and opening of your heart room. So when you look at this dragon, he is a blue dragon from the Pleiades, opening your heart. So you are now opening your heart on an intergalactic level. This is going to allow you to start connecting to star beings, to start connecting to inner earth beings if you weren't already, to be able to get to know who your dragon guide is. On a little bit of a basis. Remember, if you ever want to connect personally, I do offer bespoke dragon invocations. It's a 75-minute session where we sit together and go through what dragon energies in your space and connect you to your dragon name. But this activation is to help activate the heart womb, okay? Our planet is going to go intergalactic here in the next 200 years, okay? It just is. There's plenty of people already on YouTube talking about it. Earth ships, all sorts of crazy things in the sky, even since, like, all of a sudden we're all stuck at home and we're looking up in the sky way more often, and now way more often there are some crazy videos of, like, might be a UFO sort of stuff going on. And I used to just laugh at that sort of stuff. And then I remember that I was raised on Star Trek. Okay, bud, I'll be there in just 5 minutes, okay? That I was raised on Star Trek. I told you he was going to wake up. And I stopped wanting to be alone, right? Okay, the ego creates the separateness. The ego is what creates that subjective ability to see the world. But what if there were aliens? What if there was really aliens? What if there's actually Vulcans? What if we can really go and meet Romulans and go to Risa and go to a pleasure planet that has 3 moons? And the more my imagination remembered Star Trek, the more I listened to psychics talking about extraterrestrials and inner earth beings, the easier it was for me to be like, you know what? I actually like that reality a whole lot more than the one where we end up nuclearly bombing ourselves and just disintegrate the whole planet. I'm going to get online with that timeline instead. And now when I talk about aliens and dragons and all of that stuff, I'm not afraid to look like I'm crazy. I'm not surrounding myself I'm not attracting people that are going to think that I'm crazy. I'm not. I'm attracting clients that are like, oh my gosh, I have been working with this dragon for months and you're the first person to openly talk about dragons. How do I, please teach me? Or, you know what, I am just so sick and tired of having a great big day followed by a really shitty month. How do I hold that level, right? It's like we learn that we're a philosopher's stone, and then each time we use it, we break it, which all has to do with worthiness. Worthiness comes from the heart, okay? On an intergalactic level, all of the aliens, they know who we are. We're the human species. You know what we are? We are a brand new species, completely cut off right now. Well, not completely, but very much on a global consciousness level, cut off from the rest of the galaxy, the rest of the universe, the rest of the multiverse. And how we serve is as a experiment of the ability for a sentient being, an omniscient being, to forget that they're omniscient and to play this game called humanity, to live duality and to love all the fuck upness just as much as we love all of the pleasure, to be able to take our pain threshold that right now is really pretty fucking big for most of us because we have suffered and been through a lot of pain, and flip that to have the equal amount of pleasure. Because a lot of people can handle pain, but then good things happen and they're only like that much, right? Your pleasure threshold for almost every client that I work with, their pleasure threshold is about a third of what their pain threshold is, because we have been taught that if you can grunt through hard work and get through it and do that, then you're going to be rewarded, instead of just loving it all, accepting all of it, the wholeness, the kundalini, the dragon energy, the ascending and the descending. You are a philosopher's stone. You are magic. You have the ability to create anything that you want. All you have to do is accept it and know it. I am the philosopher's stone, and I will create this. And you will notice how your life becomes a constant stream of miracles almost overnight. It's not really overnight, but compared to other people in your life who have slowly been going downwards or just plateaued forever, it's going to look to them that you went from 0 to hero overnight, even if it really took you like 6 months, right? So, dragon invocation that we're doing, again, is calling in this blue dragon from the Pleiades. I want you to get his vision in your mind. The Pleiadians are very much like Atlanteans in a lot of ways, so if you've connected to the Pleiadians before, you can ask them about Atlantis and let them know about that. I am and I will. Love it. Go ahead and close your eyes. And just know, even if your brain doesn't get it, your consciousness doesn't understand it, that on a cellular level, on a DNA level, my voice, whether I'm speaking in English or singing to you in dragon tongue, is a portal of activation. I activate your DNA, I clear out old trauma, heal any wounds, any karmic wounding, clean up any sloppy energetics, so healings, clearings that you received in the past that you didn't feel worthy of receiving, or that the person giving them to you didn't actually feel worthy of giving you or powerful enough to truly do the work. All of that gets cleaned up. And then the activation, activating your crystalline DNA, activating your God code, activating within you the dragon knowledge of ancient times, activating within you the ability to bilocate, to have telekinesis, to have telepathy. All of that technology, all of those things that were given to Iris and Osiris has been passed down through our blood, is inside of you. And all you have to do is sit here and listen to this beautiful song, this beautiful soul frequency I'm about to sing to you, and just know that you are worthy of receiving it by the sheer fact that you are on this call, that you are hearing me right now, is your proof that you are worthy of being a philosopher, of being a singing crystal. Ayonio bingo ea pachmamani ongo ea we are you we are biangare aloha ambarikia ria Angria noria lambiarioa Landias Moria Ambarkia noviani di Pachamama Ariangari Vioria Oh yeah Moria. Hamringa no Mingandi Umbrori Aleana Maningora Pachimama Barino Angroing Mami and Nebariamba Poe Erui Ayura Mamea Ayuri Mamea Ningi and Navori Alea Mangiana. Weep, weep. Go ahead and take a nice deep breath. Come back into your physical body. As always with dragon invocations, we never ground. Human consciousness is pretty low already. So by activating this, you have literally, I bet you if we looked at the Schumann resonance right now, it would have spiked. For the simple fact that the amount of pure, potent truth that comes through when we can allow ourselves to be open and to receive guidance from the Intergalactic Council, the dragons, the unicorns, the inner earth people, our ancestors, our guides, our beings of light, any god or goddess that has ever walked on this earth, any enlightened Buddha that has ever walked on this earth. We are all of those things. We are a fragment. We are a tiny little fractal. And everything that exists out there exists in here as well. Hi, everyone who joined. So I already mentioned this in the other video, but it got caught up, so I'm just going to say it right now. I am moving my platform. I was going to say that. I'm moving. And if you want to know where I'm moving to, feel free to send me a PM with your email address so that you can be notified. As of April 1st, we'll have moved everything over there. Marikar, you're watching, so April 1st is our deadline. I love you, Marikar. Shout out to my VA right now. Like, Marikar is the shit, so thank you. And what was I about to say? Oh, so bespoke dragon invocations, those are still $100 right now from $147, which is their normal price. I don't know when or if I'm ever going to move those back up, but they're $100 while we're all stuck inside. So if you want to be connected. The Courageously Authentic Leadership Program, we're changing it from Fearless, is because we all have fear, right? But can we shift our fear into courage? That is my leadership group. That is a $69 one-time investment that has weekly trainings, a 5-day masterclass, a way to work with me one-on-one that's completely special to that group specifically. It is a 10 weeks for $5,000 versus normally working with me for 10 weeks would be $12,000. So if you're interested in one-on-one work and also want to be a leader, like, get into that group. It's going to be worth it. And then what was the other thing? Oh, I am actually going to be launching here April 1st when we move over. Will also be when applications will start being accepted for the Dragon Academy, which is a 12-month program that I'm going to be starting April 20th for those who are looking to connect into their channeling, their psychic gifts, how to use these psychic, these crunchy, woo-woo, magical, mystical things that we love to do behind closed doors. How do we bring that out into the open, get the globe on board with us? So be aware of that information coming out soon as well. So make sure you're sending me your email address so I can get you all up to date as we shift away from this current platform. I've had way too many people that I know personally have videos deleted and accounts just erased in the last month. So I'm taking that as a sign to quit while I'm ahead, so to say. Sunday Morning Coffee with Karen will be on YouTube. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving you. We're separating ourselves from the land of faces, the book of faces. So thanks so much for being here. I'm gonna see if we can. It recorded on Zoom all at once, so I'm going to make sure that we're uploading this onto a YouTube channel so that you all have this all-in-one training instead of having to go and find the other video. I will also find out at what time slot the actual invocation began so that you can go directly to that part in the video and listen to just the invocation if you want without all of the other training. I just thought that it was really important that more people know the whole backstory of Lemuria and Atlantis and recognize that you are a philosopher's stone. You are a singing crystal. You are a dragon. You have the capacity to create with divine will, with a unified will, and create magic in your life. And as soon as you are okay with all of the shadowy, nasty, dirty, dark, kinky sides of you, you're going to recognize and love how fast those things no longer infatuate you. And you're able to be unified and be like, okay, unconscious and conscious, we're finally on board at the same time. We are unified, and then we're channeling our super conscious in, like you become the philosopher's stone. You already are one, but you know that you are one, and you are able to utilize that ability to turn poison into medicine and lead into gold. So thank you so much for being here. I love you all. I have to go feed my family breakfast. Have a great day.